and I think the big thing driving it is the loss of supporters in the format. Right, Sycamore's gone, In is gone. People are trying to figure out how to set up. Bridget is gone. So using 4 Great Balls in addition to 4 Nest Balls and 4 Ultra Balls theoretically gives him a lot of outs to finding Pokemon early.
So Connor, looks like Connor starts with a Trubbish. He'll play a Kukui on the first turn. Not the best supporter you want to see, but he'll follow it up with a Nest Ball for that Baby Buzzwole.
Yeah.
That we've come to know and love.
Yeah, I think the obviously doesn't have a lot of draw in his starting hand when you Kukui to start things off. Found a Nest Ball coming out of it, which averts complete disaster, but he's probably going to be pretty much chilling to get things going.
He's eyeing that attachment. Maybe he's going to attach the fighting, I think. Oh, he's going to play a Nest Ball instead, actually.
Nest Ball.
Pretty good opener here. Maybe grab another Trubbish. You want to grab Trubbish first, or the Slugma, any Pokemon that evolves, because Baby Buzzwole, you can just put it down and attack with it immediately. You want to be able to set up.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting decision. I assume he did not just draw 2 Nest Balls off the Kukui, but I would assume you would Nest Ball before you play the Kukui, just from like a sequencing perspective, because you want to thin out your deck. If you're looking for a supporter, which I assume you are, if you're playing Kukui as the first card out of your hand.
Not always true, because sometimes you want to Kukui and see if maybe you draw a Pokemon off the Kukui, which changes what you want to.
That's fair. If he had drawn the natural Buzzwole, if he had Nest Balled for the Buzzwole first, he would have said, man, I'm really sad about my choices in life.
It depends on the point in the game when you want to do it. You're right if it's later in the game, but this early you just want to grab as many as possible. Jimmy follows up with his own double Nest Ball and grabs a Rockruff and a Zorua.
Yeah. So I talked with him for 2 seconds before things started. I talked with Jimmy a little longer. Jimmy's opponent no-showed round 1.
Okay.
So even though he's a top 16 North American player, he kind of took the easy way into the second round, being 1-0. Connor has absolutely no idea Great Balls and Judges are about to rain down on him, whereas Jimmy knows what Connor's playing and had some time to think about it before we kicked off this round.
Yeah, I mentioned in the pregame, Zorik's biggest loss was probably Bridget. Bridget was a staple. Turn 1 Raw Bridget or turn 1 Lele for Bridget. So powerful, and now you see even double Nest Ball. It's good, but it's way weaker. And Jimmy attaches Rockruff and passes.
I know the first time Jimmy lays down that Great Ball, we're going to have to look for Connor's reaction, because I'm sure Connor is going to say, this is the spiciest one of thing I've seen yet today. And then he's going to play a second Great Ball.
Yeah, he's in for a wild one. So Connor plays the Shrine of Punishment. Obviously, Shrine of Punishment, very new stadium. It does 1 damage in between turns to all Pokemon EX and GX Pokemon. And Connor, he runs no EX or GX Pokemon, so it has no negative effect on him, whereas it can tick on a lot of those Pokemon on Jimmy's side. Zoroarks, Lycanrocs, Lele's, etc. But Jimmy responds with a Devoured Field. And that's kind of something we've been seeing, an uptick in these kinds of stadiums to counter Shrine.
Yeah, this is definitely the new thing. So I feel like my impression of how the meta evolved was people assumed right after Worlds that big basics was a very reasonable strategy, and big abilities was a very reasonable strategy, because Garbotoxin was suddenly out of the format for the first time, frankly, since my kids started playing Pokemon. And Rayquaza seemed like a big deck, and the answer to that turned out to be this Shrine of Punishment deck that Connor's playing, where you try to give prizes very slow by not playing any GX Pokemon. You use Shrine of Punishment to just get damage on the board against these big basics. And this Zoroark Lycanroc deck that people are playing to respond to it plays heavy Devoured Field Count. So he's playing 3 in an effort to try to keep Shrine off the board. I think what's interesting is they don't play the Blower because they know that the Trash Launch is coming, right?
Yeah, so I'll get to that in a sec.
Catch me up.
So it looks like Jimmy evolved to Lycanroc. He pulled up the Buzzwole. He attached the double colors, and he used Claw Slash to knock it out. And Jimmy is running the Diancie, which will actually make Lycanroc do 20 more damage, which is 130. Perfect math on that. Strong Energy is gone, so Diancie kind of picks up the slack a little bit, and it's actually a very, it's perfect math. So it ends up working out very well. And now Connor, the the folly of the Shrine Garb deck is how to deal with a Pokemon like Lycanroc that comes up this fast. It's not weak to anything Connor has. It does a lot of damage pretty fast. So, now Connor, setup's not that strong, and he has to figure out how to start tackling this behemoth.
Yeah, Lycanroc is always the challenge in all these decks. If they're able to successfully get a Lycanroc powered up, they can hit for great math, and it's hard to knock out.
So he touches a rainbow. I know Jimmy has at least 3 items because he did trade a Choice Band last turn.
Right.
I'm not sure if he used Ultra Ball or anything else. So this is going to at least do 60 damage, which is good. It sets it up into range for knockout from, say, a Buzzwole the next turn with Sledgehammer. One of the strengths of this deck, Connor's deck, is that by running all non-GXs, it forces opponents into playing to 4 prizes to activate Sledgehammer's.
Yeah, he's looking for a Buzzwole now, I assume, too.
I would assume, kind of threaten, but maybe he's opting for something.
Yeah,
something
it looked like he moved the Trubbish to the top of the deck. Nope. Swapped it, thinking about it, and the Buzzwole comes down. I think one of the interesting things about this new format is also Floatstone's out of format. So the need to plan a turn ahead and get those attackers online is important, because if he knocks out this Garbodor, it's going to be hard to find a switch effect.
He is... It looks like he hits him for 90, I believe.
Is that?
No, it got to be...
It wouldn't be 40, right?
No. Maybe it's 2-3.
No, you hit him for 80 and then the shrine damage.
Oh, you're right. Yep. Okay, perfect.
These people that put the logo as the 6 instead of the 1 are monsters, and it should never happen.
Yeah, that's how they used to set their special dice back when I was a young one, back in my day. But
oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've never seen that. Now, obviously, my whole introduction to logo dice is via Pokemon. But
so here we go. Jimmy plays the first Great Ball, maybe on stream
I think Connor's
ever.
laughing. He's dying here.
This is almost certainly the first ever Great Ball played in a major tournament since streaming came to Pokemon. I would be shocked to find another example.
Connor
of
is
this.
still just flabbergasted at the Great Ball, and yet more are coming.
And Jimmy, of course, finds a Zoroark. So he can't even play the Zoroark, so kind of insult to injury here. You're seeing the raw power of Great Ball. It finds Zoroarks.
Things never said before. The raw power of Great Ball.
It's a wonder why this card never saw play before. But, honestly, it's all joking aside. Jimmy kind of just values the consistency of finding a Pokemon. He has 19 Pokemon in the deck. And most of the time, it's either going to be a basic you can bench to activate Zoroark's attack, or it's an evolution that you can use on one of your basics to evolve. So, it's interesting, and leave it to Jimmy to play a card like Great Ball. But I do understand why he values it.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Obviously, Bridget was a incredibly important turn 1 supporter for these Zoroark decks in the prior format. Let you get 3 Pokemon out of your deck to start setting up, and he takes a knockout on the Garbodor.
So Jimmy puts down another Rockruff with another energy. Jimmy just understands that Connor is already having a difficult time. He's going to have to 2-shot one Lycanroc here, and Jimmy's just going to send up the next one right after that. He runs a 4-3 Lycanroc line, so he can actually pretty much sweep the game with these Lycanrocs. And Connor, once the 4 prize buff for Sledgehammer is gone, Connor is going to need to figure out a way to tackle these big dogs.
I have to say, this is kind of a weird thing to say, but I've noticed that, like, the 1-2 count here is an interesting count. That's like a recipe for decklist error, right?
So, looks like Jimmy evolves into the second Zoroark, trades an Ultra Ball. So he, by running the Great Ball, one unfortunate part of running 4 Great Ball in addition to 4 Nest Ball is it's a lot of items in the deck. so it makes it harder to avoid not discarding items. One of the strengths of Zoroark was that it could draw without having to discard items. But now, Jimmy opts to instead just take out this Trubbish, says like he doesn't care if he's discarding items if there's no Garb in play. Another Great Ball.
Look, Connor is stupefied.
Yeah,
he's
shocked.
He's like, oh my god, there's a second Great Ball. I thought it was a one of cutesy tech.
I'm not good at math, but I'm pretty sure this is like 200% more Great Ball than have ever seen competitive play. Maybe ever.
Yeah, so when Bridget let you get out 3, when that went out of format, I think some people thought Apricorn Maker was going to be the replacement. It lets you get 2 ball cards out of your deck, and you're like, well, I can't get 3 out anymore, but I can get 2 out. And I feel like what the conclusion people have come to is Lily's just drawing more cards and running more ball cards is better.
So now Jimmy retreats to the fresh Rockruff and plays Multi-Switch, which allows you to move an energy, basic or special, from a bench Pokemon to the active. So basically, kind of preserving the damaged Lycanroc, preserving that energy. He probably would have liked just a raw attachment this turn, but Multi-Switch, operates like that. Jimmy now has 4 GXs in play, so Shrine is going to start ticking up a lot, but he only has 3 prizes left, so Connor needs to, he needs to start doing something here before this game is completely out of his grasp.
Yeah, I mean, he got past the Sledgehammer turn. That's the big lesson here. Jimmy starts to wonder where he's going to get more dice for all the GXs he has on the board.
Now Connor, if he attaches an energy here, he's doing 30, 60 with the Choice Band, 80 with the DNC, and then a tick of Shrine will do 90. So, if he was able to get 2 hits on this Lycanroc with Shrine ticks, he would knock it out. But that's 2 Buzzwole and 2 Choice Band that it would take to kill 1 Lycanroc. And by that point, Jimmy has taken 2 prizes, and, the game is kind of done. So if I'm Connor,
does he actually get there? He's hitting for 80.
Yeah.
He hits him twice. That puts you at 160. The 1 tick of Shrine into Jimmy's turn, and then the 1 tick back.
And then the tick again, and then the tick back.
Yeah, the tick back is when he would die. So he
Yeah.
could theoretically kill 3 Pokemon with this Lycanroc, right? No, because he's going to get hit now. 1, 2. Yes, he still takes 2 prizes before the Lycanroc dies.
Right. So Connor's obviously going to do this because it's the play he needs to try and stay in this game. Maybe if I'm Connor, I'd try and find some Trubbish, get a heavier hitter or something. But also you got to see at some point, like maybe the writing is on the wall. Connor's deck is kind of slower. It takes advantage of preying on an opponent's setup. Connor wants Jimmy to have a big setup, and Jimmy does, but Connor was a little too slow to get a board. So maybe I go to game 2 here.
Yeah, well, and
he does.
Yeah, he scoops it up.
He understands. He prized the Oranguru, shows that to Jimmy. Oranguru is obviously very useful to draw cards. Can even attack in this matchup if it got to that point, which was looking desperate. So
yeah, well, and Jimmy runs an Acerola. So if he had Acerola that up with 190 damage when it went back into his turn, Connor might have started crying. That would have been brutal.
Maybe, yeah. All sorts of emotions here for Connor. Laughing at the Great Ball, crying at the Acerola. We
haven't gotten there yet.
Jimmy hasn't even shown the judges. It's an interesting card. N obviously so powerful, and a lot of people looked at Judge as the replacement for N, and it's not exactly the same card. It operates differently, played at different points in the game. But Zoroark is, actually one of the only decks that can really utilize Judge well. You can Judge, and then Zoroark can draw out of it with trade, whereas the opponent might not be able to. So Jimmy kind of opting for a strategy where he'd like to Judge you a lot and just hope eventually you brick.
Yeah.
And every time he's going to draw out of it and keep executing his strategy, keep using these Lycanrocs.
I spoke with Jimmy about that for 2 seconds before the round started when we were chatting during his round 1 bye and you guys were on stream. And I think his logic was when you in a guy to 1 or 2, the odds are he's going to draw dead. And I think the challenge people have seen in playing Judge is when you Judge a guy to 4, he's probably not going to draw dead. So Jimmy was like, well, I'll just keep judging him until he does. I mean, I play a lot of judges. Eventually, you get there.
In addition, having 4 judge means you might start it, which means if you can get a couple basics down and judge them before they draw a card, you might be able to lock them out of the game right away. We're going game 2 here. Another trubbish start for Connor. You know, if I'm Connor, you know, I don't really know what's different. I guess probably attacking a couple times might help. He puts a shrine down right away. That's interesting. I would have maybe considered holding that. There are no GXs in play, and he knows Jimmy runs stadiums, but he'll just Cynthia, see what he gets. Probably looking for more basics, right?
Yeah. Yeah, obviously he wants to find that Slugma and get it set up right away.
Yeah, Slugma, or Macargo and Oranguru is the poor man's Zorocargo. But in this kind of deck, it obviously works very well. Plays an Acrobike. Acrobike is a trainer that released originally in Primal Clash, and then it rotated out of the game, but they brought it back. It's a trainer card that kind of gives some decks some speed, additional trainer draw. Gets a, looks like that's a Regirock in play. And another Trubbish, and he'll pass. So now if I'm Jimmy, Great Ball, here we go. Finds, there's a Lycanroc in there. I don't see any basics. Probably would have taken it right away.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting. I feel like where people were prior to this tournament is they thought that the kind of 4 Nest Ball, 4 Ultra Ball, 2 Timer Ball was the right kind of ball line to run with these decks. And he's gone with the 4 Ultra Ball, 4 Nest Ball, 4 Great Ball, which is even more aggressive from a, like, let's find Pokemon strategy. And it lets him grab basics and evolved Pokemon.
Yeah. You know, we see this a lot of times when the game transitions to a brand new format. Players will opt for cards that on the surface level have a very low power level. But, you know, in reality, the game itself is at such a, you know, low power point that these cards actually do have value. You know, Charon, now How, that card actually did see some play because people just valued the raw draw of 3 cards. Kind of spiritual successor here with Jimmy's Great Ball.
Yeah, absolutely a fascinating choice. But I can kind of see how you got there, right? If you have a Great Ball in hand, like, oh, if it's turn 1, I can grab a basic if I'm lucky enough to find it in the first 7 cards, which is why nobody valued Great Ball in the first place. Takes a little bit of luck.
Another thing with Great Ball is that A, you can trade it. It's just a free card to trade like Bridget. And B, it's a card you can burn every turn. Like, the moment you get it, you can burn it. Which means if you're trying to shuffle your hand in with, say, a Judge and find a specific card, it's a card that you can turn and burn. And Zoric's greatest strength is that it can kind of clean out its deck of any clutter and get to a point where the whole deck is outs to win the game. So he'll replace with a Devoured Field and get a Lily for 6. Looking for more basics.
Yeah, the Devoured Field's a really interesting choice because obviously it makes your math amazing for killing 130 hit point Pokemon with Zoroark, and it's a counter to Shrine, and it doesn't play an item. So watching the meta evolve in just like the last week, as people say, I'm going to go from playing 0 or 1 or 2 of these to playing a full count, is a fascinating evolution of the meta.
Yep. So Jimmy pays to retreat, passes. Not a very good setup from him, but Connor responds with a Cynthia. You know, really here, he's probably looking for at least a Buzzwole, but he would like a Garbodor, maybe an Energy, a Slugma. You know, there's a lot of stuff that Connor still wants, even though his deck doesn't require a ton of setup.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm Connor, I guess probably an Energy as well, get an attachment. See a Nest Ball in there.
Buzzwole, Energy, Escape Rope.
wouldn't be terrible, honestly. It would get
That would
the
be
attacker
amazing.
going.
It would be amazing, right? You'd be like, now we're playing.
He does have the Regirock as well. Regirock has an attack that if you attach a tool to it, it does 20 more damage. So it's 20 base, plus 20 with the tool, plus so it's 40, then 70 with the Choice Band, and then DNC can push it to 90. So can do quite a bit. So that is a good escape rope target.
Yeah.
Plays another shrine.
Yeah. Yes, putting a shrine right in the middle triggers my OCD in some way.
Touch a rainbow, and he'll pass.
Yeah, it didn't have the escape rope. A little too much to ask.
Yeah. But this is good. Jimmy immediately gets rid of the shrine. So stops that damage ticking. It's not doing too much right now, but now he's got 2 GXs in play. He's just trying to burn cards. Plays another Lily. Plays it first before Zoroark, so he can guarantee he'll draw more cards. Obviously, good sequencing.
Yeah, besides Ultra Ball, I think one of the interesting things about this format is you never discard cards. So these counts of stadiums, they're gonna know the other guy is never going to miss a stadium when he's looking for it. It kind of definitely adds a can I find stadiums when I need it cat and mouse element to the game.
So now Jimmy puts a Rockruff down. It's the 70 HP Rockruff still. With Bridget gone and Professor Elm not yet in format, still the best Rockruff. And he's getting ready to start bringing the pain again with Rockruff.
I think this Professor Elm coming to the meta shortly is going to be an interesting thing, because all of a sudden you're like, I'm going to play corner Rockruff again. Let's go.
Yep. So Connor now using Macargo's Smooth Over. This card is a reprint, a spiritual reprint of a Macargo back from 2004, which saw a ton of play, and we saw it at Worlds. So good. You can put a card, any card at the top of your deck, and then with auxiliary draw like Zoroark or a Rangaroo, or even a supporter draw like Kukui and Lily, you can find these cards. So very, very powerful effect.
Is he gonna get the escape rope? What would you get if you were him?
Maybe
I don't know if he's got a draw card in hand.
Looks like he doesn't, so I think he's taking a supporter.
He just put a supporter on top.
Probably a Cynthia, maybe a Lily, but I don't know if he can burn his whole hand, so Cynthia will get more value.
It looked like he had a choice band in his hand, so if you get the choice band, maybe you play the Lily. The Lily lets you draw until you have 6 cards in your hand, so the question he'll have is, can I thin my hand down enough to make it worthwhile to use a Lily instead of burning one of the precious few superpowered Cynthias that people have, which lets you shuffle and draw 6.
Jimmy plays a Palpad, puts some supporters back. With Puzzle of Time gone, that's how Zoroark decks recycled their supporters. But Jimmy, using Palpad now, shuffles 2 supporter cards back into the deck. So that'll give him access to, he only runs 2 Guzma, so it'll give him access to like a Guzma if he wants it, Kukui's, Acerolas, so not bad, and he'll trade a Rockruff.
Yeah, it's interesting. He plays 2 Guzma and 1 Acerola, and I assume that a big part of what drives you to put an Acerola into a deck like this that traditionally has not had an Acerola are these shrine decks, and the fact that you feel like you might need to pick something up at some point.
Yeah, in addition, there are only 8 energy, and with Puzzle of Time gone, there's no way to recover energy. So Acerola kind of acts as a form of energy recovery, picking up a damaged Zoroark, conserving a double colorless, for example. And looks like he's going to start attacking first. Plays Lily, getting ready to swing with that Zoroark. He's going to start punishing Connor. Ironic, to say the least. But now Connor is ready to attack.
Mike will be here all weekend, people. That's you got both the puns and the analysis of the value of Acerola. It does not get better than this stream.
He plays a rescue stretcher. Gonna take back that.
So he grabbed a Lily, and he's just trying to burn cards right now, right? Because he had a rescue stretcher and a choice band. And
he grabbed a Cynthia.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh.
So in this case, it doesn't really matter. But again, it's still burning cards.
Yeah, just thinning his deck.
Thinning his deck, yeah. He wants Regirock down. It is a fighting type Pokemon, so it can do some damage. He does run Kukui, so he can one-shot this Zoroark with a combination of cards on that Regirock. So we'll see what he gets.
Yeah, I gotta teach Connor how to play Pokemon. How to grab the Lily.
Speaking of Lily, from looking just at the board, Jimmy probably thinks he's got this one in the bag, like Nebby. Ugly game for Connor. But
yeah,
Palpad's in the
slow setup.
Cynthias. I didn't see the Rangaroo in his hand, so he has no way of drawing additional cards, but he's just going to smooth over to the top. I'm not sure what he's going to take here. Maybe another Garb. I didn't see what that was.
Yeah, he's very cagey with that card.
Just tell the people what you're playing, Connor.
Yeah, Connor, we need this information. We need the like poker camera. It's down underneath the table, peeking up.
Now he's going to swing, and Jimmy does have a couple items in there. He traded a few. I don't see how much. It's 80, I think. So Jimmy's got 5 items, and then Zork's resistance to Psychic will drop it to 80. And without Shrine, you're kind of seeing one of the follies of this Garb deck is that it relies so much on Shrine to do damage that when you don't have it and a player plays around something like Trashalanche, you really don't have a lot of damage here to do. So Jimmy playing this very well.
So refresh my memory. Is this the same deck Connor was playing at Worlds?
Yeah. I mean,
he was playing
exactly
maybe Buzz Garb Shrine, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Obviously, supporter line's different. The Macargo's different. Now you play it with Macargo and you play it with Acrobikes to give you outs to kind of draw that card as you smooth over during your turn. But same spiritual.
You're going to see a lot of
concept,
decks
right?
at the start of this format that are the same or very similar decks to what we saw last year, just, kind of worse. Like, I'm sure Jimmy would rather look at his hand and be like, man, I wish I had puzzles instead of this great ball. But, people will play what they know and are comfortable with. And Zoroark is a proven Tier 1 archetype. So, the list changes and it operates, a little differently, but still the same very powerful, aggressive deck. Doesn't shock me that Jimmy opted for this. And he's going to retreat to Lycanroc here and score a knockout on this Garbodor. So
I think one of the amazing things, I haven't obviously been through nearly as many kind of format rotations as you have, but it's interesting how these decks that were Tier 1 last format, I think they were initially kind of off people's radar, and people were like, I'm going to play a broken ability deck like Malamar or Vikavolt because ability lock is gone and I can just run wild. And yet, I think over the last week, week and a half, the format's come back around, and these decks are now thought of as the top tier decks people are playing.
Yeah, one of the most important things in Pokemon is being able to execute your strategy with as little as possible. And these decks that we saw last format, they are largely figured out, and people kind of know how to operate them with as few cards as possible. Like Zoroark, it's still Zoroark. You don't have Bridget and Puzzle, but you still have Trade.
Right. The draw engines just got worse. Hey, we got to play Zoroark deck still.
Right. So players will kind of stick with what they know. Jimmy figures people are going to be playing a lot of zany experimental stuff, like we saw Metagross, big stage 2 deck, but that deck, it requires a lot more to set up, and Jimmy is counting on just preying on their inconsistency with his extremely consistent deck. And he'll hit that Lycanroc for just 70.
Not the sledgehammer turn he was looking for.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where things kind of go off the rails, right? This Regirock's going to get one shot. He's going to be off the sledgehammer turn.
So now this is that play I was kind of talking about with like an Acerola if you wanted to switch into Zoroark. I don't know how many prizes he has. I think it's 5 prizes left.
Is it? I thought it was 4.
I can't tell. He knocked out the Garb.
Yeah.
I think that was the first. Oh
no, because he killed the
Regirock
first. Yeah, this was the sledgehammer turn. He missed the sledgehammer.
Right. So if he actually is able to, like, this is a turn where Acerola could be good if he wanted. He could pick up that Zoroark and preserve the energy. He's going to opt for a Guzma instead. This is fine too. Taking out the Trubbish, which means that he's kind of free to play items, at least for one turn.
Yeah.
And he's not threatened by Trashalanche.
Yeah, without the Diancie out, I mean, I think this is one of the challenges you see with this deck post-format rotation with no strong energies. If you can't get the Diancie and you're not on a sledgehammer turn, you just don't hit hard enough.
Connor's going to play Cynthia. Almost looks like he attached the Buzzwole to his Cynthia. Maybe Cynthia has a better chance of fighting Lycanroc. And she's like the Elite Four champion. So she's probably been around the block a couple times.
We'll be here all weekend, people. the quality Pokemon references that the kids love.
So Connor obviously looking for an energy here. I'm starting to think maybe Deancey is prized. I feel like he would have gotten it by this point.
I gotta agree with you.
You know, especially with his smooth overs on Macargo. So this is not looking good for Connor. Nest balls, I mean, probably a Trubbish.
If he doesn't get the Deancey here, it's because things are absolutely horrible. He only runs three Trubbishes. Yeah, there's been so many Trubbishes that are dead already.
Yeah.
I don't see a Trubbish in deck.
There's Sudowoodo. So this is a card we saw before. It sees a lot of play in Expanded. With the Roadblock ability, limits both players to 4 benched Pokemon. Obviously very good against Zoroark. Garbodor has 120 HP, so it will lock out Zoroark from knocking out Garbodor. It doesn't stop Lycanroc, but
and with the Devoured Field, he can't hit 130 and knock out this Buzzwole with Zoroark.
Yeah.
But it's not a problem for the Lycanroc. The Lycanroc's just going to keep plowing through the deck here.
And Jimmy discarded that Lele, obviously totally useless, and just another Pokemon that would tick Shrine damage if it was in play. So his whole board is now.
Although Connor, once again, has not been able to find another Shrine to knock this stadium out. And without the Shrine on there, just like last round you were saying, he doesn't have the Shrine ticking damage. The damage output from this deck is just not enough against these big GX attackers.
So Connor didn't see again what he put on there. Connor's trying to fool us all, but catches the rainbow. But now even if, you know, say Connor found a Shrine, Jimmy could still knock this out. Well, no, he actually couldn't. I'm sorry. The Roadblock will protect the Buzzwole from Zoroark, but this Lycanroc's still here, doing the most. Another Great Ball. Card is great. Finds a Lycanroc. I don't think Jimmy has actually ever found a card he wanted to use or could use with Great Ball in the 3 or 4 times he's played it. But, you know, I guess you keep rolling the dice. Great Ball. That's incredible. We had an all gold Ultra Necrozma Malamar deck, full bling.
Oh, really?
Last round.
Oh my God!
And we've got Great Ball this round. This is quite a tournament here.
As we've always discussed, I'm always impressed with the masters that are like, that's how I want to roll. Because me, I have like 2 kids, and they're kids. I'm like, guys, we're never gonna have nice cards.
Yeah.
What's the lowest rarity I could have? My oldest son recently learned to bridge. I'm like, I bought that card, you little monster.
So Jimmy, it looks like he trades a Zorua. He recognizes that he can't put it down unless he knocks out the Sudowoodo, which wouldn't be a bad play at some point, but I think if he had Guzma, he'd probably target the Macargo. But kind of just trading here. Plays Acerola, picks up the Zoroark, actually. I think he's making room for another Rockruff, and I think he has an attach as well. This is perfect. So now Jimmy, he's gonna knock out this Buzzwole. He'll be down to 2 prizes, and then Connor will have to knock out this damaged Lycanroc. And Jimmy will have the fresh Lycanroc to clean up the game. Connor has small hand, no draw.
Yeah, I think he's realized Connor's not playing Judge at all. Like, there's no disruption in this Bushshrine deck. You're just assuming you're going to get Shrine of Punishment down, and it's going to take the other guy a long time to clear the board because you have high hit point Pokemon. But Lycanroc's hitting for perfect numbers. He's not able to find a counter stadium, and it's just not coming together.
Yeah. I mean, he'll knock out the Lycanroc here with Regirock, but, then I have no idea what he plans to do for the rest of the game. I don't think there's a way he can win.
He's putting the Shrine on top.
Okay. It's probably about 5 or 6 turns too late
Exactly. I know he's been desperately searching for attackers every turn, and that's why he felt like he couldn't grab the Shrine. He's like, needs Buzzwoles,
He plays a Kukui, so... Well, he still knocks out the Zoroark, or the Lycanroc anyway.
Yeah,
so.
He's going to get there. But he needs more. I mean, he's at 2 prizes. And the problem is, Jimmy's got his whole deck in his hand at this point. There's just no disruption at all.
Jimmy pushes up the Coco. Coco kind of fell out of favor from Zoroark decks for a while, but with the loss of Floatstone and puzzles and stuff, you kind of just want that consistent free retreat option. That's why we're seeing a lot of Cocos. There's some utility elsewhere with it, obviously, with the spread, but it's mostly for the free retreating basic. He immediately replaces the Shrine. He's got a huge hand.
Yeah, he's got his whole deck in his hand at this point.
Plays down another Lycanroc. Pulls up that Sudowoodo. Wants to just give himself the ability to knock out something with Zoroark as well, if he wanted. He understands Connor doesn't have draw, so Macargo's not really a serious threat. And he's down to 1 prize. Connor just concedes. Obviously, there's the Oranguru again. Prized it both times. That'll kill you. Pretty clean.
It was
clean win.
Turn after turn where he was happy to smooth over for next turn instead of grabbing a card that would help advance.